Hello everyone, this is Baba Will, and this video is about emotionally immature men. I was inspired to speak about this video, well, not speak about the video, but speak about this message, this topic, because I had a conversation recently with someone I know regarding this, and I'm gonna try to touch upon a few examples of men who are emotionally immature or who behave in ways that are emotionally immature towards women, especially, and it's an interesting dynamic. It's an interesting set of behaviors, and I'm just offering my opinion on the subject. Emotionally immaturity. Sometimes you have individuals, especially men, who they're of a certain age, and for some reason they don't behave at the level of where their age is. Example, you might have someone who's in their mid 40s, early 50s, or 50 years of age plus, and they behave in, they have the mentality of a 20-year-old, or they, carry themselves as if they're 25, 30. They subscribe to youthful ideologies and behaviors. Well, this is a little similar, but slightly different. Let me give you an example of what an emotionally immature man does. One example is you have a man who is labeled a mama's boy. A mama's boy. Now, the relationship between a mother and son appears to be very important. It's a very important relationship. Depending on how the relationship unfolded through the years, through the child rearing, upbringing of the man or the boy becoming a man, it will dictate the nature of the relationship that this person or this guy would have with future women. So if the relationship between his mother and himself was a bad one, not so healthy, then 9 times out of 10 he will not have the best relationships with women or see women a certain way. And if the relationship with his mom was more positive or fruitful and healthy, then those characteristics would be exhibited with future women, I guess. But a man who behaves like a mama's boy, who is living off his mom, or he's able-bodied and can work, but decides to just not contribute anything whatsoever while he's living with his mom, and the mom enables the behavior to continue and to continue. You have men sometimes who when they do find someone or they pair up with a woman, they're looking for that woman to become their mom. They're looking for that woman to be their caretaker like their birth mother was. And if that doesn't happen, there's a breakdown. There's some type of breakdown in the relationship. There's a breakdown with the person. The problem lies where one way to solve that problem is for that man to understand, the future. He has to really address the issues that led him to where he is today. Like, take care of your baby, take care of your mother and son related issues. Take care of that. Get to the root of the problem. Start there, address it, and know that future women or future partners that you have are not your mother. They're not your mother. They're not your mother. And then maybe you'll be able to move on and find something that works for you. Okay, that's one example. Another example is you have an example of a man who behaves in a way that's emotionally immature is when you have a guy who all he does is he just thrives on being the center of attention. He thrives on just being the focus of everyone's attention. Like, for example, he could be at work and he needs to be the centerpiece of all types of conversation. He needs to be the top earner. He needs to be the one that's recognized all the time, And this individual can also be somewhat narcissistic, right? He won't empathize with anyone. He will be quick to put people down, make jokes, and make fun of people. But if you do that to him, if you, let's say, give him the same medicine he's given everyone else, he won't be able to take it. He can dish it, but he cannot take the jokes. This is a person who's somewhat narcissistic. They're all about thinking about themselves. They are their biggest number one priority. Okay? So when they pair up with these individuals or women relationships, when they pair up with people, they like to have a woman who's doting on them constantly, who's constantly, cheering them on, who's like their personal number one fans, who gives them all the attention that they want. This is the behavior of a man this is one example of a man who's emotionally immature. One way to deal with that issue is to understand, also seek therapy, understand that, the world doesn't revolve around you. The world does not revolve around you. You're not the center of the world's attention. You're not God's gift to man. You're not God's gift to women. You're not God's gift to the world. They have this ideology or this understanding that it's all about them. They are the center of the attention. It's not the case. Once they understand that these women who they pair up with shouldn't be a cheerleader or someone who gives them recognition, and they shouldn't be subjected to the person's put downs. They're put downs, because this is what these individuals do when they behave in narcissistic ways and who are emotionally immature. They're quick to put down their partners. They're quick to put down these women. But if the women, does the same to them, it's a problem. So that's two examples. Two examples of emotional immaturity done by men. Let me think of another example. Oh, when men are hurt, let's say they're in a relationship and things don't work out well, and it ended bad, and there's a breakup, and the man is actually hurt behind the ending of the relationship. For some reason, men who are emotionally immature and who don't really address the issues that might have led to the breakup, they remain hurt, and that carries over to future relationships. And what I mean by the hurt carries over to future relationships, they actually begin to sort of punish their future partners based on the actions of what they've experienced in their previous relationship. Like, that's not, for me, that causes another type of problem, another type of conflict, because it's not the future person's fault of what you went through in your past. That's the example of the immaturity, the emotional immaturity that we're identifying here, because instead of really addressing the pain that you experienced in your previous relationship and moving forward from that, addressing the pain, leaving it where it is, and then moving forward so that you can be able to, have a positive, enriching, and healthy relationship, you're carrying this baggage. It's going unresolved. It's going unchecked, and you're continuing to spread the pain among other people, and you're not healing yourself. That's the immature way of dealing with problems or dealing with, serious issues that you might have. Okay, those are 3 examples of men who behave in immature ways. Let me see if I can think of one more. Another example. You have the hero. You have this person who feels like they can save the day. This person who, has their own issues, but puts their own personal issues aside and finds someone who's needy. They find people who are sort of broken. They're in desperate situations. So the hero finds a need and he tries to fit in to solve the problems of the person, to solve the problems of the woman so that they can feel good. So now he's not dealing with his own personal issues. He's trying to fix someone else's problems. Okay? And then when those issues are addressed and when those issues are resolved for the person, what is that going to do? What is left for this hero to do? Nothing. The hero can't do anything because the hero solved the problem. And what's the hero going to experience now? His own unresolved issues will start to kick back in because he didn't check them. He didn't deal with them. And he can't have that. He's not mature enough to take care of his issues. So he's going to go on to what? Possibly leave this relationship, the new one, and find another person who he can fix. Another person who's broken down and downtrodden, who he can help rise and solve their problems and save the day. That's the hero. The hero's problem is the hero is not dealing with his own emotional issues. The hero is not trying to solve anything on their own, their personal problems, their personal challenges. What they're doing is avoiding that. They're ignoring that, and they're saying to themselves, they'll feel better if they can fix someone else, or if they can help someone else with their problems, which is not the best way to always go. It's not. It's not the best way to go, because it all goes back to you. It all goes back to yourself. All of these issues tie right back to you. It ties back to you because it tells you that if you're not well, if you're not happy, how can you find yourself in a situation where it's going to continue, where you're going to grow in a healthy and fruitful way? If you're not well, if you're sick and you meet someone and you didn't, deal with your illness, you didn't treat you weren't treated, you did not address your problems, you will carry over your issues into the new relationship, which will cause all types of unnecessary challenges and breakdowns. People are complicated. But if you try to kind of like address the issues from the root of the problems as best as you can on a simple level, you'll probably be able to deal with the complications a lot. They'll probably be more manageable. And those are just 4 examples I talked about as far as men who are emotionally immature, who behave in ways that are just immature. They're not practicing intelligence. They're not really coping well with the issues as they should. They're avoiding. There's a lot of avoiding. There's a lot of child attachment loss. When it comes to some of these issues, a great deal of child attachment loss, meaning parents and child relationships were not the best. You have abandonment issues and all kinds of things that come up. And then it brings me to another example. It's probably going to be my final example. There are many. I'm not going to touch on every example. The addict. People who are addicted, who have addictions, who suffer from addictions. If you pair a man who's emotionally immature and they're an addict, okay, it's not the best type of environment or the best type of relationship, because the woman will become somewhat of a new fix. If you can't feed the urge to get high to that addict, or basically feed their craving, there's going to be a breakdown, because right now you are of the moment. When a person is high, they are chasing a high. They are chasing the dragon. They are on a mission. Okay, they are on a mission to get what they want by all costs and by all means. And if you're the partner, you're part of that mission. When you're no longer a part of that mission, they're gonna find someone else because they did not address their codependency issues. They did not address the substance abuse issues. They did not address and treat their addiction. And if you become a part of that addiction, you become a part of that problem, and sorry, you're not gonna, the chances of you indulging into a long-term healthy relationship is nil. So those are 5 examples of emotionally immature behaviors exhibited by men. Feel free to leave a comment, like and subscribe to my videos, and I'll talk to you soon.